So our topic for today is syllabus. And in many people that could conjure up some scary thoughts for Halloween. So let's take a look at that. Well, this is our welcome. This is a professional development session hosted by the Center for E-Learning on the in FAU. So I thought that perhaps the old word association game might be something that we would need to start with. And this is a case where I'm not having you necessarily write things, and I won't be writing on the screen, but I'd like for you to just toss out there words or ideas that come to your mind when you hear the word syllabus. Anybody in here or online? And Gary and Mary, you both can click your mic on if you wish to speak up and say something.
Contract.
What?
Contract.
Contract. Okay, yeah, and that's a fairly common one. Anything else?
I would say roadmap.
A roadmap. All right, that's a great visual. I like that. I should have thought of that. Put that up here instead of the book.
I think of a long document.
A long document. Yeah, and many of them can. Hi, Kathy. Welcome to the session.
Hello.
Okay, a long document. And that was what I was thinking of when I put the icon of a book up there. Anything else? Syllabus, the word syllabus.
This is Gary. I would say objectives.
Objectives. Thank you, Gary. You are so on task today. Thanks. Okay. Anything else? Any comments about the word syllabus?
Expectations.
Yes. Excuse me.
I would say the tone of the course, how formal, how laid back, how approachable you want to be. It's the first document your students get from you. Okay. So it's a window into your teaching style and your personality.
In the first place, they get an idea of who you are.
Who you are. Exactly.
And that said, it's true confession time for me. I had someone reach out to me over the weekend that wants to take a course that I'm teaching for spring and is going to be transferring to another college for fall and wanted a copy of the syllabus in order to make sure it accomplishes what he needs when he moves out there. So this was in my head. And I pulled up that syllabus, and man, it does not fit any of those things that we did. So I did some fast adjusting. Any comments that you can share either from colleagues or from students?
Maybe there's a tendency to ignore it.
Possibly so. We often in here hear some reference to the fact that, well, students aren't going to read it anyway, right?
This is Gary. I actually built a syllabus quiz so the students can it makes them read it.
Gary, you are so on target with what you're doing. You said you're a brand new adjunct?
Yeah, brand new. This fall's first semester.
But you have to have taught before somewhere.
Actually, I'm a retired Navy commander and a retired contractor. So.
All right. Okay. So you bring some great ideas in. Thank you. You are definitely in the right place, Gary. We're glad to have you here. Any other comments from either colleagues or students? Syllabus quiz is one of the things, Gary, that we build in when we build our Start Here unit. So you are in the right place. So here's what we are going to accomplish in our short time together today. We're going to have a conversation about the purpose of a syllabus. We're going to think about some different approaches to looking at the syllabus. And we're going to review some research. I found a really fascinating article that was a longitudinal study that one university put together of looking at syllabi across, well, 4 different research sessions over a period of 6 years. So it was pretty interesting. And so that said, then we're going to wrap up by thinking about possible alternatives to what we can do, add, change, whatever. And you probably already figured out that's the second question on your Padlet. So let's take a look at the Padlet. Question number 1, what is the purpose of your syllabus? And I will. You share, right? No? Oh, no, I just click on it? Okay.
You can exit out of that.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, and so I'm going to let you comment, and read your own comments on here. So if you are online, you can unmute yourself and read it, and then I'll invite you to mute yourself back so that we don't get too much feedback. But Meredith and Josephine and Lee are all in here, right? So go right ahead.
Sure. This is Meredith. I said the syllabus is a guide to the course and course policies, a schedule for the semester, and a contract between the students and the professor.
Okay.
Josephine, I similarly mentioned the contract, but it also serves as a roadmap indicating assignments, tests, and papers along with the due dates.
Okay. Yeah, definitely important information. And I love the roadmap idea. Lee, how about yours?
I always feel like the syllabus should just tell me everything I need to know about the course, so, which is a lot, but that's why it's a book.
Right. Yeah, that's why book came to your mind. Okay. And Gary, is this other one yours?
The online course is mine.
Oh, the online course.
Well,
Okay.
Outline course. It's the same points as Meredith and Josephine were saying, but I just had office hours as well on there too. Virtual and
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So these are some excellent
if you
ideas.
scroll over, there's more, or make that full screen.
Oh, and you know me, I never do that.
Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
there's Kathy's. Thank you. Kathy, you want to read yours?
Sure. Hi. Yeah, I just said that this is where the instructor communicates his or her expectations and policies and procedures. But what I really thought was funny was that I just have never thought about the purpose before. It was the first time I ever asked anybody's ever asked me that. I just kind of accepted it.
Yeah, it is because it is, right?
It's just a thing that we have to do, and it was valuable, you know. And when I was taking my online courses, I referred to it all the time.
Absolutely.
But I just never really thought about why it was so important. So.
Yeah, definitely. All right, thank you. So that takes us back in. So we talked about the purpose of the syllabus. Let's take a closer look at some of those things. These are, I have 2 slides here with quotes from a couple of articles that I found. I tried to, and this was an article, someone saying, I think the title of the article was, does it have to be boring or something like that? But someone who was at the beginning of the semester writing their syllabus and said, I tried to imagine it igniting their curiosity, but instead I saw them staring at it with the enthusiasm, save for the fine print on a life insurance policy. But they have to read it. It is their life insurance policy for a future full of knowledge and wisdom. It defines how we're going to relate. So this is one person's aha moments, I think. And then from another article, and this sounds a lot like what you had said, Lee, and what we were all getting at its most basic level, it's used to communicate information about the course, the instructor, the objectives, the assignments, the grading policies, due dates, the academic integrity, and in many cases, an increasingly long list of strongly worded admonitions on what is and isn't acceptable behavior in the college classroom. I'm not sure that any of us is qualified to identify acceptable behavior in the college classroom, but we'll let that one go by. So we have a couple of perspectives on it. Is it indeed a legal document, or is it something that sets the tone for the course? And this is some information I found in a couple of really interesting articles. Yes, at some point, somewhere along the way, we definitely need to know, and we need our students to know, that there is university policies. There may also be department policies, other things that need to be included in there. And for those of you who are in the workshop right now, you will see that we have a section in Module 7, I remembered to say it right, in Module 7 about the various policies that can and often are included in the syllabus as a legal document. This is one of the things that a couple of you have already said, that it is a contract, and many of us see it as the contract between ourselves and our students. And essentially the university perspective is that if it's not in that contract, then they can't support us in some of that. So it's one perspective to look at. Again, that comment, and I put that because it was in one of the articles, determining acceptable behavior for college students. And we'll just scoot right on by that one. But very definitely a meta communication tool. We've talked about communications in various perspectives through the workshop and through the different PD sessions that we've had. And so your syllabus, and as Mary said, it's the first document that your students see, and it's going to be what their perception is. So let's look at some of the ideas about setting the tone for the course. It can identify the teacher-student relationship. As Mary indicated, gives our students the first impression of both the course and us as an instructor. And I loved this one when I saw it. This article wanted to make sure that there's something within that document that inspires their curiosity and gives them the passion that we share. We're teaching what we are teaching for a particular reason, because it's something that we are passionate about. And so we want to use this as a way of sharing that passion. We want our students to come away with that as well. So one of the things, and this is something that I have picked up from a couple of actually course reviews that I have done. So what if we were able to set up syllabus as part 1 and part 2? Part 1 would be all of that necessary stuff, all the stuff that's in that book that Lee's working on for her syllabus, all those university policies, all the academic integrity stuff, everything that is indeed necessary for our students to at least have access to, if not having read it or done it or completely absorbed it. But then, and this was a particular, I don't know if it was a university-wide or department-wide, but then there was part 2. And here's what the course is really all about. So this could be where you include that passion, that things to ignite the curiosity, the questions, the ideas about it. Now then, this would certainly, a format like this would certainly have to be something that is done at the very least on a department or college-wide level, so that everything that is necessary, all those items that are required would be in there. But then the part 2 would be the individual unique ones. So Josephine, you might have the access to be able to give some thought to that and maybe share that somewhere along the way.
You mean about the syllabus,
Well, about considering having it in
two parts?
two parts. One where, at least from the college perspective, if not
Well,
the.
there is a format, I think, that
There is.
professors have to follow.
Yes.
The provost office expects certain
Yes.
things to be on the syllabus
Yes.
and the dates to be correct.
Oh,
for the
yes,
right
absolutely.
semester,
Yeah,
all that sort
And
of
they
thing.
get sent back if
And
they're
they get
not.
sent back if they're
Yeah.
not. So that's very important.
Absolutely.
To follow, adopt all those I's and cross all those T's.
Yeah,
But from a student perspective, from having taken courses, I think the simpler the syllabus is, the
Yeah.
better, more
yeah, the
effective
more
it is,
likely we are.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that the professor takes a few minutes in the first class to just go over the syllabus. So
Yeah.
you know what the
Or at least go over
expectations
those things that are
are.
crucial.
Crucial
for
They're not
the-
going to go through every word.
No,
Just that's
no,
just
uh-uh.
the main
Yeah.
things.
And again, Gary, even though he is new to the university and new to what we have to offer here in the Center for E-Learning, he's already picked up on an important piece of that, because Gary indicated that he set up a syllabus quiz so that the students need to read through it in order to have some idea of what's coming up. So you're right on task with us, Gary. So let's think for a moment about the possibility of a learner-centered syllabus. You touched on that when you said short and the critical information.
Right.
So what are some things that might be a part of a learner-centered one? Let me just ask that, and then I'll show you what things came up in the article that I found. What might a learner-centered syllabus look like, or feel like, or sound like? Any ideas in here?
No, my undergraduate class, I created a syllabus that was funding for nonprofit organizations.
Oh, yeah.
And the syllabus I created for that one looks like a newsletter.
Yeah.
So it's kind of flashy and kind of intrigues them, makes them
Yeah.
want to look at it, see what it's
Yeah.
about and everything. Even though it talks about all the technical stuff.
Right. Something to read
like
through
that
and
is
get some
something like
ideas on. Yeah, absolutely. Anything else from anybody online?
I think you would have a second person point of view, speaking to a you as opposed to the student will that kind of canned.
Okay. Yeah. Bringing them into the fold and making them, at least giving them the perception of having some choices in what's happening.
I think this relates to what you said before about igniting their passions and allowing them to connect to the reason why you're doing things. Probably I would say, if I talk about an assignment, tell them what is in it for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that alignment. Meredith and I were talking about the alignment before, and some of the research that I've found connects again back to what we do. So we are blessed here in being at the forefront of what's going on out there. The article that I read indicated that there might be included questions in there. What do you know about this topic? What do you already know? Why are you taking this? Why are you here? Why is it important to you besides being required for your program? One of them indicated that felt like the syllabus could include images. Again, this is much of what is in this as far as being learner-centered is what we naturally include in that start here component. So some of the things that make it learner-centered are what come up for our students in that start here module. And I think you were touching on this, Mary, a rationale for the objectives and the assignments. If we are telling, and Gary, you touched on this too, if we are telling our students that by the end of this course, they should be able to whatever, how in the world is writing a paper going to connect to that, or doing whatever project going to connect to that? So if we let them know ahead of time that that's why they are doing this particular assignment. And again, through the Center for E-Learning, we have developed the whole blueprint, and that is where we see that alignment across. If indeed I'm asking you to identify what the parts of the body, we'll go real, then there's a reason for that, because you're going to need to know that and be able to identify that as you get further down the road. So we do learner-centered, well, although all those components may not necessarily be in the syllabus. This is something that I had started adding, giving them a warning. Students before this have been challenged by this particular assignment. So either plan ahead, or start thinking about how much time it's going to take, or start thinking about what needs to happen in order for you to accomplish that. And that's an interesting. We don't think of the danger sign in the syllabus, but maybe we do need to think about it. Syllabus is also, or somewhere within that first, again, much of what we're doing is what we put in the start here. But tips for staying on track, if indeed you intend to be a teacher or what would they come out of with in yours?
Biological anthropologist.
Okay, a biological anthropologist. All right, and in yours, they're working in the public. Okay, and so if indeed this is what their goals are for the end of their classes, then what do they need to know now in order to stay on that, to accomplish that, to get to that point? And again, the intriguing descriptions, giving a possibility of what you might discover as if you are able to stay on track and get past those challenges and figure out the assignments. So it all boils down to active learning, which we talked about at length last week. So a learner-centered course includes effective communication and active learning, no matter where you discover it, whether it's in the syllabus, whether it's in the course descriptions, wherever it is. When students know coming into it that they are going to have to be actively involved in their own learning in order to be successful. And that truly is a bottom line on this. Okay, so now I'm going to share some pretty cool things that I have discovered. I'm going to give you some basic numbers and then give you where it came from. I found a research study that examined, through the use of rubrics, 1,153 syllabi for a particular university. That number in and of itself amazed me. They repeated their study and added to it 4 times over a period of 7 years. And so each time they added some components. They did some things. I'll tell you about some of it in just a moment. And in order to come back and then take another look at it. When they did the last 2 reviews, they went with what were referred to as the 21st century skills from AAC&U, and I'd have to look that up again and remember. I found it at one point, but it didn't stick in my head. But those 21st century skills included 12 essential learning outcomes, and so they were reviewing the syllabi for those outcomes and to see if the outcomes were listed in the syllabi as well as how they got to them. So their findings, ultimately, by the end of it, they definitely saw changes across the campus culture. pretty amazing study. This was came out in 2015.
Mary had something to share.
Okay, yes.
You know, sorry, never mind. We can do it at the end. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You're fine. You're fine.
It was something I found about when you were talking about letting students know when there's a challenge, and maybe also providing, and you talked about the tips, maybe also providing tools for them to
Oh,
keep
yes.
track
Yeah.
on how well they're doing, where do they need help. So some kind of self-assessment along the way on how they are doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there is a good bit of that in this particular research study too. So this was a 2015 article, syllabus review, a study that took place across 7 years with 4 different reviews, and wound up at the last one looking at 1,153 syllabi. And clearly, as you might well gather, that involved intensive rubric training for the reviewers. So the article goes into detail about how they did the inter-rater relationship and how they were able to assure the reliability of the study. But the interesting piece of it, particularly for those of us who are more interested in qualitative results, were that the results were shared across the departments and across the faculties as they went through. And as I said, they did 4 different studies over this 7-year period of time. So during that time, based on the results of the study, they did collaboratives to develop workshops and resources and provide these resources to the faculty once they had shared the results of it. And the changes across the campus culture were documented, and I've got some of the results here. Let me see what I've got on the next slide. Oh, okay. Included in the reviews, and this was, they changed and added some pieces to the rubric each time they went along. Started out with basically the required components in the initial rubric, and some best practices components, kind of a next level up. Then by the time they got to the second review, they were looking at the measurable language in the student learning objectives. And this is what we were talking about earlier, about using action verbs that can be measured. We talked about this when we did the blueprint and did the objectives, so that you can actually say, yes, I said they were going to identify something, and here's where they identified it. Then as it got toward the last 2 reviews, I believe it was, they included active learning and student engagement. And these are in later reviews. Now, mind you, this is syllabi that they were reviewing. They did not go into the course at all, but looking at the syllabi, reviewing the syllabi. And then in the last one, and I had to write down, the HIPP was higher impact pedagogical practice. And the article details what they were looking for when they did that. And that came out in the final review that they did. So across, and forgive me for reading to you, but this is not stuff in my head, across the changes in the syllable characteristics across the 4 syllabus reviews. So the syllabus was posted on the web as was required. In 2008, 74% had been posted. By 2013, 99% were posted. That's probably a given. The syllabus included course student learning outcomes. At the first one, 77%. By the last one, 91.6%. That the student learning outcomes are written in measurable language. Obviously, there were a few PDs going on in there. It was 65% in the first one, and moved up to 90% by the last one. Again, we're talking about just reviewing the syllabus, not anything else. Evidence of instructional strategies that promote active learning and student engagement. The first go round was 49%. By the time it got to the last one, it was 72%. So clearly, it was a university that was focused on having an actively engaged syllabi so that the students get a good perception about what's going to happen in that course. I thought this was a pretty amazing article, and I have it listed in the reference ones, and I'll be glad to send it out to anybody that would like to see the link to the article. So my goal, and this is one that I also found in one of the articles, but I thought it fit. I'm working to create a syllabus that puts life into the subject. What about yours? Anybody want to add to that? And I've got the, I'm going to let you go back out to the Padlet for this as well. Is there anything that you might consider changing or adding to make your syllabus a bestseller, or at least one that is read through and reviewed a little bit? So you're welcome to jump into the Padlet and write down. And you can also put a quote if you like. Where was my, I'm working to create a syllabus that puts life into the subject. There's one quote. So there's the link to the Padlet.
When Kathy found out what AACNGU it means, it's Association of American Colleges and Universities.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I knew I had read that, but it didn't stick in my head from the time I read it until the time I saw it back on the screen. And I'm going to scroll down so that we can see the things that you're adding underneath there. And I may need to refresh, right?
No, they'll pop you like.
Okay.
Yeah, you see them. I see some people are typing up.
Oh,
So go top down.
back up where they were. Okay, that's cool.
Just Kathy's.
Okay.
I edited my original box.
Oh, okay, great, great. And what's interesting, I felt like was interesting in both in the articles that I read, particularly the last one with the research thing, a lot of it is things that we do, and that excites me. All right, if you're still writing, that's wonderful. And if you have completed, you're welcome to jump in there and share.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'm Josephine, and I really think that what really helps a student get excited about a subject is to really see the real life practical applications to the subject matter. Why is it worth studying this subject? And if you see that it relates to you and it piques your interest, you'll be more enthusiastic and excited about learning about it. Yeah, yeah. And one of these articles has a beautiful example of that, where her course description on microeconomics. Oh, that's perfect. Everyone can relate. It's in the news so much too lately.
Okay, read through those two descriptions up at the top of this page. It was beautiful. It was great. All right, Meredith, yours is up there. You want to share?
Sure. I said, I think going back to my syllabi now, and because I'm thinking about alignment this morning, that I want to go back and make sure it's clear always the rationale for the objectives. Why are we doing what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
I think that's important. I think that can make a big difference for keeping students engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's, I mean, we usually go into a class saying, okay, whatever it is you want me to do, I'll do. What do I have to do to get the A?
Right.
But more than that, we want them to come out of it having learned something. So that gives them that rationale for those that definitely are interested. Kathy, I pulled up so that you can read yours.
Sorry, hi. Yeah, no, I just really like this idea of making it student-centered. I have just honestly never thought about making a dynamic syllabus. I thought it was like a requirement to make it as boring and legalistic as possible.
Well, and in many cases, although I don't think boring was ever a prerequisite, but as Josephine said, in many cases, the department / college or college / department, I guess is more appropriate, definitely has syllabus guidelines. These are things that have to be in your syllabus. And yet, you know, within that, the instructors still have a certain amount of flexibility.
Well, and I think that would be a question would be, gosh, if it wasn't you telling me, I would definitely be wondering if you knew what you were talking about. But I know that you do. So it's almost like, gosh, is that really allowed? Are they, you know, but
to a degree, and it would depend upon, first of all, the department, and then beyond that, the college requirements. But yeah, a lot of that definitely has to be in there, all those policy things.
it's really exciting that it's possible.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. There's
We have ways of making it happen.
All right. Lee. Oh, look at you. You've put in.
I thought I'd get crazy.
Good for you.
I found my old syllabus in Dropbox from last fall. So
Woo.
that's my syllabus from the Dropbox. So I have submitted that to FAU, and FAU has accepted it.
And
I
that's
also have
with
a
the
plain-
QM seal. You
Yes.
go, girl.
So that was my undergrad one was QM. Yeah.
All right.
So now I'm working on my grad one. I also have a plain text version.
Sure.
So I upload both versions, of course. If not everybody can maybe see this, but this is saved as a PDF, and I did it in Publisher and saved it as a PDF. So it looks like a newsletter.
Yes, I
It
love
makes it a
that.
little more interesting for
Yep.
them reading through it and that sort of thing. So,
Something that you want to that is a little more compelling and isn't going to put me to sleep when I read it at night. All right. Great.
Hi, Judy. This is Gary.
Yes.
My laptop is giving me problems trying to get to that Padlet link.
Okay, that's fine. We'll take your comments.
Yeah, the couple things is obviously me being older and experienced in the actual industry of civil engineering. I want to put some things in there about job opportunities. You know, that's really the reason they're going, is to find a job after college.
Yeah.
And they put a few statistics in there about, hey, there's some great jobs, and here's some of the statistics about trying to learn more about civil engineering to get a good job.
Absolutely, absolutely. And where we're talking online courses, basically, essentially, you could also put links out to some of that information so that they can actually go and search and figure out some of that stuff. Yeah. Okay. Mary, you've got a couple of comments in here. You've got your own quote.
Sorry, I was muting my microphone. That was a quote I wanted to share before when we were talking about learner-centered, and so that recaps what you were saying. And I can send it to you once, so we can include it in the list of references.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then how about changing like the tone of, we sound like we're punishing our students for, before they even do anything. We go like, points will be taken off from this and from that. What if we change the language and we say something like, points will be given or awarded for perfect attendance or awesome attendance or participation. So there's the component of effort that you can reward and let your students know about that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Points will be awarded.
Yes, instead of taken off, right? So just a little change in the wording changes the whole narrative of your course.
Yes. And again, just like you said at the outset, setting the tone.
Yeah.
Making it more personable and setting your persona. So often we have people come in here concerned that they're going to lose that student touch, and in most cases by the time they're finished they're more attuned to the students and the students more attuned to them than often in the face-to-face.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. Anybody else have any comments they want to share?
I just wanted to say to Mary's point, that's a really interesting point. It's a really interesting idea about the emphasis on the positive, and you will earn points for doing these things, especially in an online course where a lot of the behavioral stuff that we have to talk about in face-to-face, we don't have to.
Absolutely.
You know? You really could do that very easily and say you will earn points. I like that.
Yeah. And the only thing as far as in the face-to-face that we need to focus on is the netiquette. And that, again, is included in our start here. So we don't even have to address that necessarily. And in most cases, by the time they get to that, they're into it much more so. All right. Excellent comments. Thank you so much. All right. So I think we've talked about things that we're going to make these syllabi our best sellers in there. So this is just a kind of a recap of things that we've considered when we're thinking about syllabus, all those little gears that work together to make it. Is it boring? Yeah, many parts of it are going to be, and many of those parts are also essential pieces of it. Can it be improved? Yeah, of course it can be. And by putting that personal touch in there. So is there a different approach I can take? Yeah, maybe so. Maybe we can add a few things in or make some adjustments and changes in there. So my term for that is pizzazz. We can start looking at the pizzazz that we want to add into our syllabus. And once they have at least glanced at the syllabus, and I love Lee's newsletter format for it. You said that was in Publisher?
I did it in Publisher.
Yeah, that's a great idea to have something that's going to be a little bit easier to read and get through. So I like that. So we're all going to come out with our fantastic syllabi and get some extra points there. These are two, I don't have the third one down, two of the references for some of the things that I was using today. The second one, from the Assessment and Evaluation in Higher Education, is the link to that research article. And I'll be more than happy to send that link out to everyone if you are interested in reading through it. I found it fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And now here's my da-da-da-dum coming attractions this Friday. Please share with everyone that you see between now and then. We have a guest speaker from the library coming in to share copyright concerns, guidelines for us through FAU. And these are the guidelines that the library has set up. And so the perception is that as long as we can stick with those, that we will at least keep ourselves cleared and covered. As faculty, there's a lot of concerns, a lot of issues having to do with the whole question of copyright. And it is indeed a very touchy, very tricky legal issue. And it's one I don't want to get into any further than I absolutely have to. I want to know that everything I've done is going to be okay and nobody's going to be coming after me. I don't have to look over my shoulder. So this Friday, 12:15 to 1, it will be in the regular training room. and available online as well as in any of our 3 campuses. So we've got Mary in Davie and Kathy in Jupiter. Anybody that you see between now and then, invite them to come join you and share in this exciting opportunity. So thank you. Any comments, anything else that anyone wants to say or share?
Thank you for
Oh,
sharing.
thank you.
Yep. Judy, you're a treasure. Thank you.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, but I appreciate the kind words. Thank you. And Gary, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Judy. It was very informative, and I've got a list of to-dos here on my next syllabus.
Okay, and we look forward to sharing with you as you move forward. We have a lot of things that we can offer you to help you as you move in this direction. The others in the session are here because they have been a part of some of the things that we've done. So we invite you to join in and become a part of our community of practice. We welcome you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for being here.